We built a very low-level assassin and took her to our first ever PvP tournament in Diablo II Resurrected. We used the infamous Sigon Set on our build so that even if we lost, we would go down in sleek, silvery style. Was this newbish set enough to take down some of the most creative duelers on the planet? Let's dive in and check it out.
To check it out, what's this now? There's too many dang letters on up here, dang.
There were two simple rules to this tournament: mana pots only and no mercenaries. All the gear we used for this dueler was, well, budget to say the least. Let's take a peek at what that looks like. So we are obviously using the full-fledged Sigon set, not only for that silvery look, but look at all of the bonuses that this set gives you. And it just so happens that some of them give you a pretty solid bonus just on their own. So for example, Sigon's helm here gives us a pretty decent bonus to our attack rating based on character level. When you're capped at level 9, that's pretty important. Additionally, the belt will give us a nice little bonus to defense, which doesn't seem like much, but again, when we're talking level 9 duels, that's pretty significant. The gloves give 30% increased attack speed and just inherently have a nice bonus to attack rating on them. The boots also boost up our attack rating, and of course the shield alone has +1 to skills and a pretty decent block percent. What I also like about the set, and what will come into play later, is this little piece that says damage reduced by 7. Believe it or not, that's very important in certain circumstances. Although we have the belt on right now for a lot of the duels, what we did was we went to our inventory and used Death's Guard. Cannot be frozen is super important on IAS based characters, because if anybody does any amount of cold damage, it slows us down significantly and practically takes us out of the duel. So even though for most of them we ended up switching to Sigon's wrap for our belt, we did start off with Death's Guard. Our rings and amulets are just something super cheap that we gambled off Geed, and thanks to a generous donation from Shirley Serious, we're rocking the Gnasher as our weapon. The actual damage on this isn't really that impressive, but it gives us a bonus to strength, and most importantly, it has crushing blow and open wounds. You might remember that this is the item we chose to take down D-Clone on our level 17 smiter back in the day. In level 9 duels, not only is that crush and blow pretty cool, but the open wounds is insane. It has a chance to cut our opponent open with just about any attack that this character can do, and once they start bleeding, it's like free damage all over the place. Throughout the playthrough of D2R, I've kept a special eye out for charms that are level 9 requirement. The best thing that you can possibly get with this is a 15 lifer with some other mod. So a lot of these are very close. This one is pretty cool. It has attack rating on it as well, which is pretty important in level 9 duels. And then the rest of them are pretty junk. You can tell at some point we were just kind of collecting whatever dropped, because obviously our inventory is a little lacking. The skill tree is pretty crafty for a level 9. We did get a G-Rush, so we do have a total of 12 extra skills, which makes a huge difference at level 9. We put as many points as we possibly could into Dragon Talon, because that's going to be our main attack. We put a few points into Tiger Strike though, because this is going to be the skill that we try to charge that attack up with. When you charge up a finishing move, it does a lot more damage. In the Shadow Disciplines tree, we put as many points as we could into Burst of Speed. You may not need to max this out in order to meet the IAS breakpoint, but I think it's important to have as much faster run walk as possible for those situations where you have to escape your opponent. Also in Shadow Disciplines, we put 1 point into Psychic Hammer because it's basically like a low-level Mind Blast and can push our opponent back and stun them. Additionally, if you put a lot of points into it, it can actually do some pretty significant damage if people aren't prepared. As for traps, we put 1 point into Blade Sentinel because it's one of our only ways to attack people and do actual damage from a distance. If you time it right, you can get your opponent to walk into it and take some weapon damage, and when your build has some amount of crushing blow and open wounds, that damage can actually be pretty significant, even though it's only 37% of your weapon damage. This might be the first build ever where we've put more points into strength than anything else. If you didn't notice, the requirements on Sigon Set for strength are quite high, so when you're only level 9, you gotta end up putting a lot of points into there just so that you can wear this set. From there, we put just enough points into Dexterity to get 75% or max block, and then we probably had like 3 or 4 points we could put into Vitality. Pretty sure every stat class in this build got more points than Vitality ended up with the exception of Energy, because we have mana pots. Apparently, we weren't the only hardcore believer in Sigon Set. As you can see here, many of the combatants showed up with the same set, except for this guy. I have no idea what he's wearing. Our first round was against the non-Sigon Set user. Sigon Set so OP, nothing else holds up to it. 2 claw, 1 kick goes down quickly in the first round. Rounds 2 and 3, we kind of danced around a bit, playing around with attacks from a distance before we just dive in and start smacking each other. Once we charge up that pretty vicious kick, we unleash it for some vicious damage, and down goes 2 claw, 1 kick. Third round is a little bit more distance dueling in the beginning, and then we just give it all up and start smacking each other again, because that's how all these duels should be going. In this next round, we saw 2 players, Palafour versus Meltox. Meltox is on the Poison Javazon here, and Palafour is on the Assassin, oddly enough. Both of these players were smart enough to use the Sigon set, but I really do like Meltox's strategy to literally melt his opponent with some poison jabs. Unfortunately though, it doesn't look like he got a G-rush, so these poison jabs aren't necessarily doing as much damage as they could. Regardless, in round 1, he does melt Palafour with these poison jabs. Palafour, though, not to be outdone here, makes some subtle changes in the stash and completely switches his strategy in rounds 2, 3, and 4, running down his opponent, and we even get to see some secret sauce in his build. This guy has seemingly got his hands on some amp damage claws, and on a build that does a lot of kick damage that can be pretty damn significant. After making some clutch adjustments, Palafour manages to move on to the next round. And in our next round, we go up against DFC Season 3 champion Bowie on his critically acclaimed class, the Assassin. My hopes and dreams of winning were slowly fading away. Look at this guy trying to pin us with these stun locks, damaging us from a distance with this psychic hammer. What a cheesy champion. Look at this bullshit. He's just keeping the distance and infuriating us, making our entire build look like the biggest embarrassment of D2R since the character lockouts. I'm gonna pretend I'm not jealous that we didn't think of this strategy. In this duel, we failed to even get close to him before he smashes our silvery face off the Bloodmore gravel using only the power of his mind. But round 2, we make a few adjustments in the stash. We fully equip Sigon Set for that damage reduced by 7, and since Psychic Hammer does physical damage, it might as well say that that skill can kiss our shiny silvery ass. Round 2, Bowie notices his cheesy style is not gonna take us down anymore. You notice we are taking no damage from this Psychic Hammer. He knows it's only a matter of time before we run up on him and kick him in the face. Another round goes by where Bowie's hopes and dreams are slowly being crushed like ours were. But round 3, in true champion style, he respecs his entire character and tries to get in a kicking match with us. Unfortunately, we were fully prepared for that fight and didn't miss a beat. I'm retiring this guy on that win alone. In the next round, we see our Amp Claw user Palafour go up against a hybrid Throw Barb. But those sins are just too quick and those Amp Claws are just too strong. Palafour moves on to the finals, where we duke it out to see who will be the first VLLD champion. You can tell right here in the first round, I am scared as shit of those amp damage claws and don't know what to expect. But soon after, I just dive right in just to see what we've got. And I actually end up doing a lot more damage than I anticipated. I cut him open and I just kind of let that open wounds do its thing. Then we try to do some distance dueling and I re-engage. I get amped just at the last second, but it is too late and his life is too low. Round number 2, we do the same thing, diving right in, same story. I get amped right at the end, but it's just too late to do any significant damage. In round 3, we both try a little bit of distance dueling here, running around a puddle, trying to hit each other from afar. Palafour, knowing that he needs to do something besides run up and engage, he needs to proc that ant damage first, but I'm making it hard for him here, trying to ping him down with that Blade Sentinel. Now I'm chasing him. Now that we've got that first hit, we start kicking it out, and that is it. Because it feels awkward winning my own tournaments, I actually gave out all of the arena tokens that I had won to all of the rest of the contestants. Good luck with those, friends. I hope you get all of the Amazon gift cards that your heart desires. If you want to be part of future PvP events, just make sure to join my club on ArenaGL, and we'll see you there.